Is it weird to have one of the worst weeks of your life while improving every element of your life professionally and I guess economically, but it still just be absolute misery? Or is that just us?
No, that's common.
Okay.
I think
See, I've never really had success other than in like weird ways that didn't make any sense.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's the whole.
So bad out here, man.
That's my COVID small talk, basically.
So I know more people here that have COVID than don't have COVID officially.
That's rough. No, my COVID small talk is that the pandemic's been a tremendous success for me personally.
So bad. Yeah, for me too. I mean, but for me, it's just existentially miserable. But yes, it has been.
Yeah.
The most successable period of my life.
All right, you ready to rock and roll?
Oh, let me. What did I do with my phone? I have all my notes on it. Hold on. Sorry. The fuck?
You may call it.
Oh, I set it up on a stand. Sorry. All right. Yeah.
I found my wallet in the freezer today.
You might want to get that checked out.
It's early onset, man.
Yeah.
All right, and welcome to Fast Break Breakfast NBA podcast. My name is Keith, here once again with my buddy through the miracle of computer phone. I'm joined right now by John Burr.
Hey now.
Hey John, how are you?
I live still. I'm about to embark on a 30-hour drive home.
You said 30. I don't know if it might have got broken up a little bit. And not 3. 30. No. You're driving home from the West Coast, huh?
30 hours of solo riding.
Yeah. How are you? Are you sleeping in the car? Are you trying to hotel it up?
I don't know. I'm waiting on the results of a COVID test.
Sure.
So I feel like maybe I have to sleep in my car until then, or I don't know if I could do some sort of like hands-free check-in to hotels.
Yeah.
I can expense all this, so I'd like to stay in hotels, but I also want to do the ethical thing. I can't fly home right now because I'm waiting on backlogs. Everyone in Los Angeles has COVID, so getting your results is insane.
You're literally doing planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yes.
I mean, you're getting home for Christmas. You're trying to.
And I'm like a strange blend of both characters because I certainly don't possess the giant heart of John Candy. But I do possess the giant girth of John Candy. So it's like if Steve Martin ate John Candy.
So we're missing Chuck. Chuck is driving for work currently with the holiday season, all the traveling, finding the time to squeeze out one of the Fast Break Breakfast golden episodes. Always a little bit of a challenge, but we will do our best. Have you had a breakfast, John?
Yes. I had a decadent breakfast. Seeing as I'm trapped here, my only way to make myself feel better is to spend my entire income on Uber Eats. And I ate something from a French patisserie, delicatessen, bakery, blah, 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 Le Pain de Quotidien. I just got an assortment of croissant.
That's amazing.
I got the almond croissant. I got the chocolate croissant. I got a croque madame. I had every kind of croissant you could imagine.
Is there a word for that? I mean, it's just taking care, like for overspending on food delivery, just when you need to indulge, or maybe you're having a tough go. Maybe you're in the middle of a pandemic. Like, you know what? I'm just going to spend $60 to have this thing delivered to me right now.
What is it called when you like punch your arm to like displacement? It's like instead of pain displacement, it's like pleasure displacement.
Oh,
like I'm not.
It might just be called like
pain to take away the pain. I'm giving myself lots of cholesterol to take away.
It might just be self-care. I mean, some form of self-care.
Mm-hmm. I feel like self-care is like utter BS that people just say now.
No.
Like anything can be self-care.
Self-care is real. When I watch the Grizzlies play and they get up by 15 points on the Thunder, I say I'm going to live bet the Thunder right now. So then when the Thunder comes storming back, you're like, yeah, well, I made money. So I don't feel bad.
Was there a more certain bet than the Grizzlies losing to a team that they had already beaten by 75?
I feel really sad for chickening out of this tweet. I've done this genre of tweet before where I list the reasons.
There are only 4 to 5 formats.
Really? I do this setup. 1, the Grizzlies are undefeated on Mondays. 2, Ja Morant is returning. 3, the Grizzlies beat this team by 73 points a week ago. So what I'm saying is bet Thunder, whatever you can get. And I didn't do it, but I did live bet it. And much like I also bet on the Trailblazers on Sunday. So these losses, emotionally painful, again, financially beneficial.
Could be worse, Keith.
Yeah.
I, on the other hand, bet against the Grizzlies 11 of 13 times during their winning streak.
You've been telling me that. I am on fire, locked in with the Grizzlies. I'm in lockstep with what the Grizzlies are doing currently. It's not always the case. Right now, right. I am sorry that you have misfired.
It's okay because I always bet for Steven Adams to win the opening tip, and then it's just it evens out.
Yeah. I'll do my breakfast. My breakfast had a smoothie. Made a smoothie with the kids. It had some raspberries, banana, some strawberries, some ice, some maple yogurt. They were out of vanilla yogurt at the store, out of supply chain issues on yogurt. I don't know.
I can see why that would be the one left behind on the
it might have been called maple vanilla. It was
that helped slightly.
It tasted a little bit like a homemade ice cream, like homemade vanilla ice cream. I guess something about the maple flavor. Maybe even the sugar involved, but it was good. I mean, it was a delicious breakfast milkshake, essentially. A little dash of cinnamon, to make myself pretend like I understand flavor palettes, and I don't. I just anything that's sweet. So it was a strong breakfast for what I needed today, and it definitely got the job done. Anyway, those were our breakfasts. After our breakfasts, we moved to our breakfast in bed apologies. This is our chance to make right what we might have gotten wrong on a previous episode. It's frequently the first time we talk about the NBA, which the show is ostensibly about. John, what do you need to make right in the world?
On a previous episode, I can't remember if it was last week or not, whichever episode came directly after the latest tornadic disaster.
Oh, it was last month. It was last Monday. Yeah.
After tornadoes ravaged Nashville and Kentucky again, we forgot to mention our fallen comrades, McGoss Donuts.
McGoss!
Which their entire charming, nostalgic sign, one of those cool old, I don't know, what is that built out of? Wrought iron and ceramic? I don't know. Their whole sign fell.
It's built out of American grit.
I'm also apologizing on behalf of Chuck because Chuck did the legwork.
Yeah.
Found and took a picture of the sign having fallen. And then all three of us forgot to even mention it on the podcast.
Your favorite donut spot in Nashville, frequently mentioned on the show. And then we hunkered down, what was it, last Saturday night or so? Well, not you, John. You hunkered down on behalf of your family who was here. The tornadoes came to Nashville.
I was up all night on the phone with them.
Yeah. Middle of the night. But then McGoff's loses the sign. Very upsetting. It was funny. We recorded last Monday's episode. When we were getting done, I was looking at the clock. I'm like, we're a little light. We're a little low on the time. We normally aim for that sweet spot of 70 minutes. And I was like, what do we leave out? And then I'm done. I'm editing the show. And I'm like, we forgot to mention the McGoss Donut sign got destroyed. I prepared all this tornado content. So that's a good apology. Thanks for mentioning it now. And I feel, can we do something? Do we need to be doing something for McGoss? Is the sign hopefully insured?
Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop eating there forever. I'm taking it as a sign from God. I'm abandoning them.
I don't think that's what they need at this moment.
I know it's not, but I'm taking it as a sign from God, making this all about me. I just spent 17 days in Los Angeles. I feel fatter than I ever have in my entire life. Everywhere I look around, there's muscles and striations and beauty everywhere. I'm taking this as I'm never going to McGaw's again. Perhaps this is a time for me to shift my burden onto you and Chuck, and you guys start, I don't know, Uber Eatsing for Magaz. It probably only costs $81.01.
Yeah, it's a bit of a drive for the Uber Eats guy. I'll consider it. Maybe use podcast funds. Well, we'll just approve that at the next shareholder meeting. My apology. Last episode, I incorrectly was talking about Cody Martin being on the Heat. Chuck corrected me that Caleb Martin is the one on the Heat. And had
at least one really good game.
As an NBA podcaster, I shouldn't be lazy about not knowing which players are which. I mean, I guess maybe there's some excuse now.
They're twins.
Yeah, so there's twins. So I'm like, all right, here's how we're going to tell them apart. All right, there are obviously a lot of similarities.
I still say Zaire Williams. It's fine.
They're identical twins. They're both listed at 6'5", 205 pounds. They both started their college careers at NC State before transferring to Nevada. But there are special differences. Okay. Sure, they both started off on the Hornets, but like, for example, Cody was drafted in the second round. Caleb was undrafted. All right. A little bit of difference there. Here's a memorable difference. All right. Caleb, he went into health and safety protocols on December 14th. Cody went into health and safety protocols on December 19th. So that's easy to tell apart right there. If it helps you remember Caleb's more of the scorer of the two twins. Caleb with a career average of 5.9 points per game, blowing away Cody's career averages of 5.7 points per game.
Oh.
Now, Cody, probably the better defender, all right? Because he's got that career average of 0.9 steals per game.
Grittier name.
Where Cody only has 0.7 steals per game. These are huge, obvious differences where we can figure out which twin is which.
Is one of them always lower or sooner? Is there anything here?
Like if you want to look at assists.
All
right, maybe Cody's more of the playmaker. 2 assists per game. Caleb, more of a ball hog. 1.2 assists per game. All right, maybe share the ball a little bit.
Staggering 0.8. What a disparity.
Yeah. They both average 1.4 turnovers per game. That's another similarity. So I think how I figured it out, how I'm going to tell them apart. I think instead of calling Cody by his middle name, Cody Lee Martin, I'm going to nickname him Cody Zeller Martin. And no, that's the Hornets one. That's the one still. Okay. I identify Cody Zeller with the Hornets, even though he's a Trailblazer now. I think that's going to be the device I use to remember Cody Zeller Martin, currently on the Hornets. Caleb Martin, currently on the Heat.
There you have it, folks.
So I apologize for not getting that totally correct. Anyways, those were our breakfast in bed apologies. Before we get to our steak and eggs best thing, I need to tell you that the Memphis Grizzlies this Thursday night will take on perhaps the best team in the league, the Golden State Warriors. If you're in the Memphis, Tennessee viewing area, you can tune in on Valley Sports Southeast and watch the game presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. You want to tune in early at 8:30 Central for Grizzlies Live, presented by Ford and your Mid-South Ford dealers, featuring Pete Pranica, Brevin Knight, and Rob Fisher. Check local listings and grizzlies.com for your channel guide. All right, steak and eggs best thing. John, what's the best thing you saw in the last week?
For me, it's not so much what I saw in the last week, but it's what's happening now and what I'm going to be seeing. And that's an influx of names I never thought I'd hear again, or names that I've never seen before. We're basically seeing, due to COVID, the summer leaguization of the entire league. And for someone who has to watch basketball all the time, this is a wrinkle, a curveball that I couldn't expect and will be fun to react to.
I'm with you where I was watching the Magic play. I think, was it the Nets? Was it a Magic Nets game where it was preseason guys, but like they actually were all trying to win and that's getting added stakes. And I'm a sicko who enjoyed it. I was like, this is fun. Like we're seeing different players than normal get pressed into service and actually need to play and do well.
And we're not talking about just like, oh man, Chumo Keke off the bench going off. We're talking about like guys off the street, guys from the Ignition League or what have you, Ignite League showing up. Like it's about to get weird.
The Bucks started 2 people who I've never heard of.
Yeah.
Did you see this one guy?
There were some weird
Sandro
names. Yes.
Mamu Kalashvili?
It's a nightmare.
That guy started. There was another dude
it.
who's going to show up in the International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award, Javonte Smart. I've never heard of these players. I watch the NBA every single day.
Yeah.
I try to keep track of who's on the roster, but now that they passed this new rule where if you have a couple people out with COVID, you can just sign a replacement player. And if you don't have enough active bodies, now you have to sign replacement players. It's just a nonstop. Some of it's nonstop. Like, all right, CJ Miles is back. Lance Stevenson is back. We're just bringing back some old timers. But then some of it is like, I can't keep track of these people. Like, I'm not Sam Vecini with like 100 deep prospect list for the draft. Like 100 deep. It's been wild, but it's been sort of fun, except for like, when you're trying to set.
Don't think about it. Don't think about it too seriously, or you might be like, what if other jobs did this?
Oh, what if everyone was eminently replaceable?
Yeah, or if COVID was just every other job, like treated COVID as like this meat grinder. Now I understand these guys are getting paid fantastic amounts of money and it's fulfilling their dreams, etc. But from like a humanitarian standpoint, it's kind of revolting.
It's kind of weird. It's hard to compare what occurs in the NBA to real life. But it's still, it's just strange. I mean, the whole thing, we're just in a weird spot. The NBA has never seen more NFL to me where it's just replaceable. Like everyone's fungible. Like just sign somebody, next man up. We're just going to play everything. But yeah, this is the best things, John. I'm going to carry it over to the worst thing.
I know, but it reminds me of an old Larry Bird quote where he was like, this game, he called it a confidence game, and he didn't mean in like the Herman Melville, like Nightmare Alley fashion. He meant it's based on having an insane amount of confidence in yourself. Because he's like, people don't understand. And he would always use Tony Delk, poor guy, as an example. Any player out here is capable of like lighting it up, like 50-point night. And stuff like this really reminds you. And it's kind of fun to watch guys come off the street and do it. And in my head, I'm always going to wonder, just because I'm a fabulous fantasist there, where I'm just like, can he do it every night? Like, can he just have the belief to keep doing it? It's like, I don't know. Mid-season doldrums are here for me, so this is exactly what I needed. So it's staying in my best category.
Okay,
it will get into my worst category.
If we say it, like having a little fresh blood, a little, that's fun. But then if you think about the actual blood in the human body, you're like, oh, this is horrible. I hate thinking about this at all. My best thing, there are some teams. Maybe we are in the midseason doldrums, but there are some teams I think right now are under the radar, performing quite well. And I'd like to highlight a few of them in the Southwest Division. All right, the Southwest Division.
All of them.
If you don't know, it contains the Memphis Grizzlies, the Dallas Mavericks, the Pelicans, the Rockets, and the Spurs. Now, coming into the year, the Mavericks were the prohibitive favorites to win this division behind Luka Doncic and Porzingis and God coach Jason Kidd, the man who has undone all the good that franchise has put together. Well, over the past 15 games, the Mavs are 5-10. The Mavs are spiraling, but I think it might have gone unbeknownst to many that the other four teams are over 500 in this span. The Rockets are 9-6. The Grizzlies Rockets
and the Grizzlies had an insane winning streak.
Yeah. The Grizzlies are 10-5 in their last 15, and then you have the Spurs 8-7, and also the Pelicans. The Pelicans have been 8-7 in their last 15 games. They're not pushovers. And so now, actually, John, I'm going to get a little feedback from you. Maybe I'll play a little bit of a game where I want you to tell me how much of these streaks, maybe of things happening in the NBA, are legitimate. I'm going to say, to keep it food themed, you tell me if there's still meat on the bone. If there's still some meat on the bone to this thing going on. So like, we'll start with, I guess among the Pelicans, Rockets, and Spurs, of those three teams, which one do you think has the most meat on the bone, where you're the most confident that what they're doing over the last 15 games, they can sustain it for longer?
Spurs.
Yeah.
I like the Spurs. I mean, I like the Spurs roster. I like what they're trying to do. I like how rangy everyone is, how it's almost like a fungibility thing, like you mentioned. They have Pirtle back, which I think is a huge deal for the Spurs. And I think with Pirtle, they're pretty formidable, kind of against anyone defensively. Whereas the other two teams, to me, it's kind of just been almost miracles.
I think the Rockets
it.
is closer to a miracle. Although we scoffed early in the year, I think I brought up something to the effect of the Rockets right now have the best effective field goal percentage, or expected effective field goal percentage. They're taking, statistically, by tracking data, they're taking the best shots in the NBA, but they were like 1 in 14. And so we were joking, those shots go down, they'll be pretty good. And then they had that with a 7-game win streak, and they've been frisky, they've been competitive. The big test is going to be Jalen Green is expected back on Thursday.
Yeah, he's coming off injured reserve.
So I don't know if that'll affect things. The Pelicans, man, the Pelicans, I can't tell if like there is something actually going on there where I know they had one miracle win in it all, but like Josh Hart's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then Brandon Ingram's been playing well.
Brandon Ingram's been playing very well.
Valanciunas is smashing on people. Devontae Graham's throwing in 60-footers.
I think they have the type of roster that just kind of, you're not bad enough to be in the bottom of the league. You're just kind of, you're the flotsam and jetsam. You're just going to rise and fall with tides. It's just going to be, I just think that's who the Pelicans are. I want to go back to the Rockets a little bit because have you watched much Rockets?
I've weirdly watched some because I picked up Garrison Matthews in fantasy, both positive fantasy and negative. I shop the league. I have them in both.
Gaming the system.
Yeah.
So every time I watch the Rockets, I'm just befuddled by like the excitement that like fans and Twitterati seem to have about the young players, because when I watch the Rockets, they're what they're expected to be. They're like really bad rookies to me. Like, well,
so I've seen
Şengün looks like completely like it does. Sometimes it looks like Şengün is playing handball on a basketball court. Like I don't even know if he knows where he's supposed to stand.
There has been Alperen Şengün backlash recently. All right,
really?
There's backlash. People have not said like, "Hey, why do you guys like him so much?"
Like he's a rookie. This is to be expected. So it just seems like to me, like it's been like, wow, Eric Gordon carrying a team. What is going on? When I watch it, I'm just not seeing the tweets I'm reading, I guess.
What does that mean? What do you mean? You're just
like, when I tune into the Rockets, I expected to see like transformative Şengün performances and great play from these younger studs. Whereas I'm really just seeing like these veterans pick up.
No, it's Jason Tate, Garrison Matthews, Eric Gordon. They're just moving the basketball. Like they pass the ball so well. They're so unselfish. Like I see so much great ball movement from this team.
That leads me to my greater point. Like if I'm a Rockets fan, Jason Tate is the player that I'm most excited about.
Yeah, like he's a solid guy.
He just seems like the type of guy who like could develop into like, Marcus Smart type player, like where he's like, that's actually our team captain, believe it or not. Like, that's like, if I'm a Rockets fan, like, I think it's totally fine to still be pumped about Jalen Green, Alperen Şengün, and then God help you if you're pumped about Kevin Porter Jr. But Jason Tate, to me, that's like the fun future of the franchise.
Well, so I think there's 3 teams that have similar guys that I consider like Jason Tate, where you're saying that seeing this guy's shown a lot of promise. What's his ceiling? Like, is the ceiling of like a glue guy? The 3 guys I'm thinking of right now, it's like Jason Tate for the Rockets, Josh Hart for the Pelicans, and then like a guy like Kenrich Williams of the Thunder. And all those teams are sort of in weird spots in their franchise building. And it's like, do you keep this guy around? Is he going to be a locker room leader, a team captain, like you said? I mean, those are the decisions, I guess, for teams.
Can we pivot to the Thunder just for briefly?
Yeah, sure.
Just you brought up Kenrich Williams. Like, I don't know if he's actually good. I think in Oklahoma City, we are actually seeing like a superstar carry job where SGA is that good and it's absolutely insane what he does to the floor of that team as far as who they are.
I don't want to take anything away from SGA because
he's
fantastic.
Yeah.
But I do think like the way Giddey's played recently, and then Giddey, by the way, he's the youngest player ever to have over a 2-game span, have 20 points, 20 assists, and 20 rebounds. Wow. But like I do think the way they're just Dort's playing, and then Kenrich Williams, they're just like they're having a lot of good team stuff going on. Going back to the Rockets and their young guys.
Dort's another guy who like. Dort's on the Jayshawn Tate scale that we're talking about, where it's like that guy, there's just something about the way he plays that's more than the sum of his statistical merit.
I think Dort might be, I would put him slightly above the Jayshawn Tate scale. I think his ceiling is actually much higher, but I don't know.
Dort is genuinely awesome. Like a type of guy who like in the playoffs, he could do things, you know?
Yeah. We've already seen that. And he's so young, right? I don't know what his age is.
I have no idea. He looks he's too manly to.
He's too muscular and huge.
He's too manly.
Yeah.
He already looks like Danny Glover in Predator 2.
He's 22. So like, he's 22. So he's
God.
So incredibly young.
Who do we trade for Lou Dort?
Young guys, I think about Şengün. The one thing that I do love, and I think he can develop, like sure he's a mess defensively, but if you throw an interior behind the back bounce pass once a game, I will be your disciple for life. You know, like he keeps doing this.
Type of guy.
He's posting up, and then as the behind the back to a guy to Tate for a dunk, and I'm like, oh, I'm in. Just play him. I mean, I'm in.
He is a white passing center or a white-ish passing center. Sold.
He also makes more trick shots, I feel like, than most anybody else. Again, I'm a simple man.
He's got a lot of Gasol vibes.
Yeah, there's
like obviously not defensively, but who is good at defense when they're like this young, really? I guess that's changed a lot over the past few years, but I think there's plenty of time there. I do think Kevin Porter Jr.
I'm gonna go back to is there any meat on this bone?
Okay.
The Utah Jazz this year are winless.
Unbelievable.
They are winless when Mike Conley does not play. Is there any meat on that bone?
Really? I do think he's very important to what they do, particularly with the way that their roster has sort of like transmogrified over the years. Like he does seem inherently important, but I will say there is not meat on that bone. Like the Jazz are just really, really good. Okay.
So the Jazz are 0-3 without Mike Conley, 21-6.
There you have it. Yeah.
So it's not that many, but still every time he sits out, they lose. I think there's some meat on that bone. As a Mike Conley fan, I'd like for that bone to be meaty. I think they need Mike Conley to get where they want to go. That's not a controversial statement. He's got that Sideshow Bob haircut now. Oh, man. Mike Conley letting the afro go. It looks so good. Oh, why couldn't he have done that on the Grizzlies? Such a big fan. It would have changed my entire perception of him during his time with the Grizzlies if he had just had that leaping throw. I saw this statistic. Over the last 3 seasons, Jimmy Butler and Anthony Davis have missed the same number of games. Is Jimmy Butler as injury prone as Anthony Davis? Any meat on that bone? Yes. Oh, I did this on purpose without Chuck being here. Jimmy Butler's top 5 favorite player in the league for me, but I always get him in fantasy because he gets you categories that are just too annoying to track otherwise. And yeah, he misses tons of games. And it seems to be just part of his process too, like lengthy recovery times, like he's definitely in that LeBron only cares so much about the regular season, syndrome. Yeah, he's taking care of his body. Sure. So here's another one. Damian Lillard in his past 2 games is averaging 37.5 points per game. Is Damian Lillard back? Any meat on that bone? So I no longer watch the Trailblazers. Oh, that's a great decision. It's a great decision. I used to like religiously watch them, but they've become sort of unlikable to me. But I have heard power listener Matt Sullivan has told me he feels like Dame being back. And if Dame is back, the Blazers are just going to be pretty good again. I mean, that's like what I was saying with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. All the Blazers need is for Lillard to be himself, for them to be an above average team. So I will say, I'll say there's meat on the bone. I have hope at least. Also with the Blazers, without CJ McCollum, who I'm a huge fan of, I think CJ McCollum is awesome. But with Norm Powell being allowed to play the 2, that's going to make you probably a little bit better if you can fill out 3 through 5 just fine. And now, like, they had Covington coming off the bench recently. He had a huge game against our Grizzlies.
That was a demotion, really. Like, they elevated Nance over him.
Yeah. So, like, if they can roll, I mean, I like what Nasir Little's doing. It does put a lot of pressure on Powell and Dame to have to make their shots if you're going to start Nurkic and Nance and Little. But, like, I kind of like that a little bit.
I'm ready to put the blame on the coach. What little Blazers I've watched,
as you're want to do.
That's my thing.
You do like blaming a coach.
I can't believe it, but the Blazers seem much worse and seem, kind of discombobulated without Stotts. And, like, I don't understand. Why don't you just play Covington and Nance at the same time? Like, Covington's really good at small ball center. Larry Nance is really good at small ball center. Either one is fine. Like, the Blazers have just been very frustrating to me. Like, kind of watching the poutiness, but if Dame's back, I'm willing to put them back on our league pass watch.
All right, since this came out of our steak and eggs best thing, I'll switch it now to our cream of wheat worst thing. But I'm gonna stick with this any meat on the bone.
Okay, sure.
The New York Knicks have lost their last 8 games not in the state of Texas.
Is this the Kemba question?
No, I'm just going to say the Knicks are the Knicks done.
Yes.
Totally done.
I just feel like the Knicks are, like, at best, 10 or 11, probably barely missed the bubble team.
I mean, that's where they're sitting right now.
And to me, that's done.
2-8 in their last 10. They did win at San Antonio and at Houston, but 2-8 in their last 10.
It's really hard to be done in the post bubble world where you're kind of fighting for that last spot no matter what. But to me, like, that's the best they can hope for. Like, I don't feel good about the Knicks. Like, they kind of, in the words of Mike Singletary, they are who we thought they were, sort of. Like, the run that they went on doesn't seem real to me any longer. But yeah, I like so many other teams in the East are significantly different from what I thought they would be, that it's left no room for the Knicks to keep what they had going last year.
Yeah. So right now the Knicks are outside that top 10. Another team outside that top 10 is a team I believed a lot in. I thought was going to be fantastic this year. The Atlanta Hawks. It looked like they were bouncing back because they won several games in a row. But now, as we sit here on December 20th or December 21st, they're outside the top 10 still. And now Trae Young has gone into health and safety protocols. Is there any meat on the bone to the theory they're going to take off once Trae Young doesn't play? They're going to have a little Grizzlies moment without Ja.
I'm going to say no, because
DeLon Wright's going to carry him.
I think Trae Young is having his best season so far. I know it doesn't seem that way because they are not winning, but I think it's one of those situations where they've done poorly in close games, and they are, they're a lot better than their record. I still think the Hawks will get back into the playoff hunt and be a formidable team in the East. But so no, I won't say it. And having lived through the Ja Grizzlies Ewing theory conundrum, like, I don't wish that on anyone. So I'm just gonna say no, just because I don't want it to be true.
Yeah, I'm cheering for the Hawks. Why aren't they good?
So have you got to watch much of them?
I've watched a bit when they're not blacked out on the nights the Grizzlies play.
Right. It's a really hard team to watch in our area. Until I got a VPN, it was essentially impossible.
Yeah.
But I do have a VPN now, so I've watched more Hawks than I have in a long time, hoping to see one of the better teams in the league, because many listeners may or may not know this, but I was a Hawks fan before I was a Grizzlies fan.
Yeah.
So I keep tabs on the Hawks. I think they're good. I just think it's like when there have been years where, like, the Tennessee Titans won 12 games. I'm like, this team is terrible. It's the inverse of that. Where I watch them night in, night out. They're always in games. Like, there's definitely something to, like, crunch time. There is a problem.
Yeah.
Because whether you want to admit it or not, Trae Young is, like, not an efficient, shooter.
Right.
And asking him to suddenly become one in crunch time isn't the answer. They have so many guys who can contribute that I don't think they have an identity as far as what to do in those situations. So, I mean, we could be looking at, if they can't turn around, it'll be one of the more depressing stories considering how deep they went and how talented they are. But I think they're going to turn it around.
Yeah, their point differential is fine. They have the 12th best point differential in the NBA.
And they played a murderous schedule early too, So
yeah.
I actually think the Hawks will be fine. They're still on one of my league pass teams. They're still fun to watch.
Yeah.
On offense and defense, except for Trae Young. But I think no meat on that bone, I think is what I just said.
That's fair. All right. I might do this more later in the show, but I can switch it back to you now.
Let's just keep with this chicken and waffles thing. It's fine. Okay, I'll steal your thing.
What's your?
Is there any meat on this bone?
What is it?
COVID has essentially ruined games like our Patreon-only Pickle Pick'em and fantasy basketball, turning it into like a 50-50 proposition, a coin flipping contest.
Man, fantasy basketball is a whole new beast in the COVID world. I got to give some credit to one of the fantasy basketball leagues I'm in, the one I take seriously. A lot of them have become Fastbreak Breakfast listeners. And I got to give credit to the commissioner in that one, Matt, who just said, you know what? I know this is going to be weird for weekend days, but we're moving waivers to 3 p.m. and I'm adding a waiver move, and we added extra IR spots because it has gotten to the point where it's like, oh, games are canceled. You're just shuffling guys in. You pick up Danilo Gallinari. It's like, oh, the Hawks aren't playing this week.
Yeah,
like,
That's excellent commissionership and being forcibly plunged into that role. I'm not going to do anything like that. I'm just going to bitch and moan. But you need, honestly, you need stuff like that because there's just no, there's sometimes stuff like that can be great for the obsessive, I'll just do more research than everybody else. But with this level of variability and with the way waiver wires and stuff work, there's just no way around it. When you pick up someone.
So here's one thing. All right. So I won this league last year, and on the one hand, total luck because it's just COVID. People are just not playing. People are getting shut down. On the other hand, I've deluded myself into thinking I'm good at picking.
So you're the Lakers. You're the Lakers. Got it.
No. Yeah. It was a fraudulent championship like the Lakers bubble championship. Where I'm like, you know what? You have to diversify your team. You can't have teammates because what if there's a COVID out? What if the game gets canceled? I can't have two Hawks on my roster. I got to spread it out. I can't have these big name guys.
I am heavily invested in the Chicago Bulls, and it is killing me.
Yeah, you can't heavily invest in a team anymore.
Yeah, I'm like a Heat Bulls fantasy team guy. Kind of it's just God, the numbers are just so beautiful because they're kind of all distilled in a few players, and it's just it's over for me.
The next level is to find out on teams which pockets of players hang out together. Because then you're like, you know what? I hear maybe something's going around among the shooting guards on the Wizards. I don't.
We're gonna need strip club guest lists. Is what we're gonna need.
You know, another thing, if you're in a really serious fantasy league, would you consider doing something where if a game gets canceled? Could you just arbitrarily assign points to be you get 60% of the regular stats of a guy? Would any league okay that? Where you would say, instead of getting just a 0, hey, we'll give you 60%. You can cash. I don't know.
There's nothing worse than the draft and forget it guy. And that really turns your whole league into the draft and forget it guy. That's the worst fantasy player. The worst one.
Yeah. I
like my players. I took him in the second round. I don't care where you took him. He hasn't scored in a year.
Yeah. Although what about the Kemba story? The beautiful narrative revenge game.
That's what I thought you were going to ask me about.
No.
Yeah. I thought that was the meat on the
lights up his former team, but they still lose. There was some beauty in the tragedy.
Yeah.
It's very, I don't know, Hollywood style, Shakespearean even. Is that your worst thing? Just trying to gamble and play fantasy basketball.
Oh, forget gambling. If you're gambling, I mean, I guess this is actually a gambler's dream because you can find these edges that most people don't know about. But seeing that I don't really bet all that often on non-Grizz games, and I'm mostly obsessed with fantasy and pick'em. It's just been hell.
So for gambling, as an unproven, unsuccessful gambler, these seasons it feels like taking an underdog as soon as a game is listed feels like that would have a benefit because we see so many guys getting ruled out so late. That would obviously, I feel like, hurt the favorite more frequently. Does that logic make any sense, or am I just a madman?
No, I like it. I mean, I bet almost exclusively underdogs, so I'm already there with you. But yeah, like I do think there's some baked in value where that's the type of thing where you need to be like betting you need to be betting a good number of games to turn a profit on it, because otherwise it could be disastrous, I feel like. But no, I'm into it.
I'm not going to do that.
Exactly.
Bet a good number of games. Honestly, I'm just going to keep betting Dylan Brooks's overs. That's all I'm going to.
I mean, can you? How about let's just bet Dylan Brooks' number of field goal attempts?
Why won't any sports book take that action? Why won't any sports book let me bet on field goal attempts?
Fouls and field goal attempts.
Fouls plus field goal attempts over under 25. Why can't I get that every night?
I was about to say, is that 30? Is that 30?
No. I think you set that line at fouls plus field goals every night, 25, and just see what
shots and 6 fouls a night. I love it.
That's incredible. The holidays are here, and so is the grisliest gift of the season. You can get a Memphis Grizzlies 6-game holiday pack right now. It features the year's best matchups and giveaways, including the Warriors, Nets, Bucks, and more. These holiday packs start at just $20 per game. So skip the mall. Most importantly, avoid the crowds and warm up this season with the Grizzlies 6-game holiday pack. Call 901-888-HOOP or shop online now at grizzlies.com.
Whoever wrote that ad copy is pragmatic.
Those were our worst things. Now, before we get to the awards segment of the program, let's do a couple of listener submitted questions. The croissant question all.
Miles asks, which ex-free agents are you most excited to see back in the NBA? You said his name earlier, Keith. It's Lance Stevenson for me.
Well, he's in. I mean, he's in.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to fill in for Trae Young, apparently. This is the third time Lance Stevenson will have played for Nate McMillan.
Outstanding.
A little fun, little nugget of information. I took this question to be, who's someone who's not been signed yet that you want to see signed? I have a litany of names. Starts with Tony Roten.
Yeah, I would say that's the one you want the most of all.
I'll Nick Calathis.
Is Beasley back already? Yeah. Nick
Why isn't Michael Beasley around?
Yeah, Michael Beasley
bucket,
can get 20.
Man.
Yeah, can get you 20.
What's Jamal Crawford doing? Why isn't Jamal Crawford's big sign somewhere?
It's weird. It's weird to be in a league without Jamal Crawford. Kevin McHale, I think, has some time left. I think if we just electrify the bolts in his neck, he can be back out there. You still can't move him in the post. High ass, as they call him. Dennis Rodman needs money. He always needs money. Allen Iverson always needs money. Let's just
I want to see fewer of the big three type players. I want to see more of
Dan Dickow in the news lately.
What I don't want to know what Dan Dickow did.
Coming back to the Blazers now that Olshey is gone. I think Luke Rittenauer, it's time to try to pursue his dream of playing.
Chris Kaman? Can Chris Kaman still got a little bit in the tank?
Ooh, he doesn't have a lot of hair on his head.
There's one real one that I mentioned with Katie Heindel on the episode last week. Mark the Shark. Quit posting double doubles for Basket Girona.
Yeah.
Come help out the Warriors or something, man. Mark, come back to the NBA and wreak your vengeance upon the Lakers who kicked you to the curb.
Get the band back together. We need a montage of all these players coming out of retirement, getting their gear.
You know who
Tommy Lee Jones and Rolling Thunder.
How about the strangely not old players? How about Josh Smith? He like 31.
I think they need him in Guangdong.
So
I think he's part of the culture.
What about Greg Monroe?
OJ Mayo?
Why isn't OJ Mayo back? His years of banishment are up.
You can smoke pot now.
It wasn't pot that was the problem.
Oh, really?
Man.
Kyrie Irving says you can do whatever you want, very clearly.
Well, some of the names that got signed, like, was it the Nets or the Sixers signed Tyler Johnson? I was like, Tyler Johnson wasn't in the league? I thought Tyler Johnson was in the league.
I did too. I thought he was just counting billions on the bench somewhere.
I was going to say Wayne Selden, but he's on a team. That's my bad.
Yeah, very recently. Gerald Green's Big Balls asks, since the turn of
I thought you were answering Gerald Green, which is a great answer.
Actually works, yes. Since the turn of phrase du jour has entered health and safety protocols, if health and safety protocols were a real physical space one could enter, what would it look like? What would the vibe and decor be? Music playing? Furniture choices? Keith, what do you think?
I like the question because I do sometimes think of health and safety protocols as a physical place.
I have a very specific answer.
I can't remember if it was Shams or Woj, but one of them said these two
Shams,
players.
He said it twice, but it was Shams.
They said these players have entered health and safety protocols together. And there was a split second where my brain thought, well, they should be apart.
Maybe they entered together, but 6 feet apart.
Right. Yeah. All right. So where you have a very specific, I'm curious if your very specific thing is the same thing I'm thinking of.
The waiting room from the film Beetlejuice.
Oh, that's a really good one. I was thinking
the ending of Lost. They're in purgatory.
I was thinking like the epilogue of 2001 Space Odyssey.
Sure, they're the Star Children.
Yeah, I was thinking more that. I'm thinking a very sanitary, clean room.
Sure. Oh yeah, just sitting in bed like Cara Delevingne.
Maybe like the little hover building that Tom Cruise lived in Oblivion.
There's a monolith, but instead of a monolith, it's just Zion Williamson.
Anything monolithic.
Yeah.
Anything floating above the world where when you dump your trash, it just falls out the bottom down to the ground, and then the scavengers can try to piece together their lifestyles from your crumbs, the health and safety crumbs.
Starring Matt Damon.
Furniture? I don't remember.
Furniture. I mean, Zebo's retirement chair should be in there. Like the giant throne of Galilee.
What about Oscar Isaac's house in Deus Ex Machina?
Oh, sure. I'm pretty sure that's just Oscar Isaac's house now. But that would work. I mean, I don't know. I think it's got to be more extravagant for NBA types. Maybe it's just like, wherever Lou Williams gets his hot wings. Like it's Magic City. It just looks like Magic City.
Yeah. This is
good question.
Thanks
Very
for that question.
evocative. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good question. Thanks to all of you patrons who have submitted questions. If you are out there and want your own question to be answered on air, you have to become a Patreon supporter. Go to patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast to join there. If we don't answer your question on air, we will probably get to it on the monthly Millennial Brunch Zoom Hangout. I guess we're going to do a Zoom Hangout next week, John, hopefully sometime before the new year hits. We'll have a little hangout where you guys can ask us whatever you want. We might do it watching a game style this time. But anyway, if you want to support the show, you want to get involved with our listener community, you want to join the Slack chat, you want to play in Pickle Pick'em, where we send you a prize for first and last place. By the way, November's winners and losers, I haven't sent you your prize. No one's told me what they want yet. I'll try to reach out again to figure out. I know Bryce won for the most correct answers.
He does not want the same gift he got last time.
Well, that's fair. Just tell me what he can pick anything in the entire.
I think it was Bucks gear. Yeah,
he can pick anything from our T Public store.
I feel like I sent him like a Giannis Antetokounmpo something. So
no
Bucks gear.
I'm buying him new gear. But anyway, those pick 'em where we pick the spread Monday through Thursday, that resets every month. So we'll have two winners in December, two more winners in January. So if you want to sign up before January to get in the full month, now's the best time to do that. So support the show. Go to patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast. All right, it is now time for the awards segment of the program, the International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award. It's given each week to the worst performance in a box score. We have a few honorable mentions for the week. Miles Turner and Cherry Rozier, 1 for 10. Grayson Allen, 2 for 13. Alec Burks, 4 for 15. Damian Lillard and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 5 for 17. And Reggie Jackson, 6 for 20. Our three nominees, as they occurred chronologically through the week. Tobias Harris, in a loss to the Nets, 3 for 17. 11 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 block, 1 turnover, 5 personal fouls. Devontae Smart, who I had never heard of, to my knowledge, playing for the Bucks. He played over 40 minutes. They lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are, by the way, the best team in the NBA.
The best team.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Us talking about them every single week did not knock them off their throne. They're the best team in the NBA. Devontae in this game was 2 for 14 with 4 points, a staggering 69 iShot points. In our negative fantasy league, this guy went for 69 points. I think that's the biggest performance of the year.
So he played 40 minutes and either did not draw a foul or did not make a free throw.
Yeah, correct.
I think we have a winner.
2 for 14, 4 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. That's kind of cool. 2 turnovers, 3 personal fouls. And then our final nominee is Damian Lillard in a loss to the Grizzlies, which he then avenged a few days later. But in a loss to the Grizzlies, he was 6 for 21, 21 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 3 turnovers, 2 personal fouls. So we have Tobias Harris, 3 for 17, 11 points, 7 boards, 5 assists. Devontae Smart, 2 for 14, 4 points, 2 blocks. And Damian Lillard, 6 for 21, 21 points.
Welcome to the league, rookie.
Welcome. Is he even a rookie? I don't.
Welcome to the league, Scab.
Yeah. we kid. Congratulations to the Kellogg workers in ending the strike. The Devontae Smart, congratulations on your first career International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award. It is now time for the Lethal Lottery, the highly controversial game that John and I, along with Chuck, have been playing all season. The continued pressure to stop the game has mounted, where this week, one of the nationally televised games was just outright canceled. Luckily, we're recording on Tuesday afternoon. The fun game, we were recording on Sunday, and the game had become just pick a player, any player, who will actually play in Tuesday's game. The first stated goal, we're trying to pick the player with the worst negative fantasy score, i.e. who has the worst game.
Mm-hmm.
But it's turned into just pick a player who plays. I, last Sunday, selected Dennis Smith Jr. I failed because Damian Lillard returned and Dennis Smith Jr. didn't even play. The Slackers, our Patreon Slack supporters, they picked my replacement. Against my objection, they gave me Nasir Little, and he had the best game among the 3 nominees, meaning I lost. So I am crushing with 5 negative lottery points, which is absolutely terrible.
As we select, I will be real time sending these to Dr. Swinger so that replacements will be made if necessary tonight.
So since John is on the road and doesn't have the Jock-o'-lantern, we will draw for the silver or the stern balls. We will go to wheelofnames.com. I will spin the wheel of names. If I get the stern ball, I have the option of swapping my player. And I did once again draw the stern ball. Now, if you lose with the stern ball, you get double negative fantasy points. It's very, very bad. I'm going to select the Heat Pacers game.
Is that the later game? Because we might need to do the later game.
No. The Heat Pacers game starts in like an hour. And I'm going to pick a Heat Pacers game.
That's the beauty of a social media community, though. We'll make this happen.
I am going to get aggressive. I'm going to pick what I think is going to be a good player and swap him out. I'm not going to mess around. My strategy has backfired on me too many times. I'm going to pick who I think is going to be the safest good player so I can mess either you or Chuck up. Okay. I just said Chuck up. That was fun to say. I am picking Domantas Sabonis.
One of the most surefire fantasy players in the world.
So Chuck has already submitted his picks before this entire process happened. And he has decided to go. He was wrestling with one of his Miami Heat players.
Is he that? Did he get he's the next ball? Okay.
He's going to be the next ball up. He has selected. This is tricky because this guy either goes for 32 or like 8. He's going to go with Max Strus.
Okay.
So Max Strus. All right. So now you have a decision, John. If you go too terrible, I'm probably going to stick Sabonis with you.
I know exactly what to do.
Okay. Who are you taking?
Gabe Vincent.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Have some of that, Keith. You try to do this every week. You own yourself every week. What are you going to do with that?
This is great. So I just have to pick between Gabe Vincent and Max Strus. Yeah. And as long as I don't pick, surely they'll have a worse negative fantasy game than Sabonis. I am going to accept. I'm going to give you Sabonis, John, and I'm going to take. I'm going to take Gabe Vincent.
I'm taking that personally. That was a selection based on me more than the player. I feel.
Here's my thought process, and it could be wrong. I feel like Gabe Vincent is guaranteed more minutes than Strus. If Strus is on fire, he might get more minutes. I'm a little worried, but so we'll see what happens. Whoever ends up with the best performance, that's bad. If you aren't confused, you're not paying attention. You are going to have Domantas Sabonis. Chuck is riding with his guy Max Strus. I'm going to take Gabe Vincent. All right, par fadeaway, John. I'm not going to try to stretch this to 70 minutes since Chuck isn't here. But what things are you looking forward to in the coming week?
Every year, it's usually the same for this week's show. And I'm going to keep it the same because I love it so, but I'm afraid it may not happen. Christmas Day basketball. Please don't get COVIDed out. Please don't get COVIDed out.
Well, Adam Silver went on national television this afternoon and said, we're going to press through. We're going to hold the line. And we're going to keep just throwing bodies on the court. Chief. No matter what happens.
Those ad rights have been sold.
Man, they have alerted the teams playing on Christmas Day that, like, if teams have to be held out, they're going to shuffle them around. They've already said, like, here are our most valuable ad moments. We have to fill these games, like the 3, the 5, and the 10. We have to fill those. Okay. We got to fill those. And so it's, it's going to be a mess. My thing I'm looking forward to, I felt like I was kind of promised trades. Like December 15th has passed.
The aforementioned Sabonis even maybe on the block.
Sabonis, they put him on the block. He's been incredible since he's been on the block. The Pacers still have one of the better point differentials in the league. As far as, especially like that basketball reference simple rating system, which I adore. Here's one. Better simple rating system. Pacers or Nuggets? Who has the higher rating on basketball reference? Pacers or Nuggets?
I'll say Pacers.
Yeah, it's Pacers.
Yeah. Nuggets.
How about Lakers or Knicks?
I think the Lakers have been that bad. I'll say Knicks.
You got it. The Lakers have a worse simple rating score on basketball reference than the Knicks. This is basically point differential and strength of schedule is what it's basing it on. How about Spurs or Sixers? Who has the better simple rating score? Spurs or Sixers?
I guess I'll deviate from what it seems all the form of the question has been thus far. I'll say Sixers.
Yeah, I tricked you. No, it's Spurs. Spurs have a better Spurs look a little nicer, higher rating.
That's honestly not surprising. And Embiid missed a lot of time.
Yeah,
and the Spurs have looked good. So
how about
Spurs are just kind of depends who's out for the Spurs more than anything else.
How about Wizards or Pelicans? Who has the better simple rating score on basketball reference? Or sorry, simple rating system. Yeah.
The nature of the question makes me want to say Pelicans, but I'm going to say Wizards.
You did good. You did good sussing that one out. Yeah.
Okay.
The Pelicans still have a pretty rough point differential, despite winning whatever it is, 8 of their last 15 games.
Death taxes and thinking the Pelicans are bad. Just some constants in life.
I'm worried about the Pelicans. I think they're solid. only because I like cheering against them. As long as we can all hold as long as the Southwest Division is all holding the Mavs down, I'm in. Everyone keep winning, and that'll work out just fine for me. Well, anyway, thanks to you guys out there for supporting our show. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys have a happy holiday season. If you want to support us directly, go to patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can follow Jon on Twitter at Master John Burr. Follow Chuck, the Mighty Chuck. You can follow me at Fast Break Break. You guys are the best. Thanks for listening. And remember, breakfast is the most important thing.
Adios.
Right. Thanks, man.
I'll be home in 30 hours. Well,
that's incredible.
30 hours. I'll be home in 3 days.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Man, safe travels.
See ya.
I will